Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of 10 for the Chairman. I am actually just back from Australia, got back this weekend, still dealing with a little Australian jet lag, but we had a great time over in PAX Australia at the Melbourne event the previous weekend, and then spent a little bit of time over in Australia and did some TV, which I think you guys saw some of, the end of this past week, and now I'm back in the office, so doing my homework and my first 10 for the Chairman. So sorry it's a little late because we didn't come back to this weekend. So normally we shoot this on Thursday or Friday, but we're actually having to shoot it on the same day it's going to get broadcast. And of course, as you're seeing, there is lots of things to catch up with, including signing citizen cards for people, and obviously doing 10 for the Chairman. So let me just finish with my homework here. Isn't it exciting to be Chris Roberts today? There we go. All right. So for those of you that don't know, 10 for the Chairman is where I take 10 questions from our subscribers and answer them to the best of my ability. The subscribers are the subset of our backers that are kicking a little extra money every month to enable us to do enhanced community content. So that is, well, this show, Jump Point, which is usually 50 to 70 pages every month of behind the scenes material, how we built ships, sort of kind of how we put some events or do designs together, some fiction. We have Around the Verse, which is sort of the news program for Star Citizen that we run every Thursday. And then also, which we don't do every week, but sort of the behind CIG pieces that we do if we go to a studio and talk about a certain feature, which we're planning to be doing more of going forward, as well as some sort of behind the scenes posting stuff. So thank you very much, subscribers, for allowing us to do this enhanced amount of community content, because I think that's one of the key things that makes Star Citizen really work well. So and it's fun being a crowdfunded game, by the way. Speaking of crowdfunding games, I finally got my copy of Wasteland 2. So congratulations to Brian Fargo and the team at In Exile. It's done shipping, and I haven't had a chance to play it, but all the reports and reviews are super positive, which is really cool. So it's very nice to see a big, fairly high-profile crowdfunded game come to completion and work really well. So congratulations, everybody. So now, let's get to the questions. So the first question comes from Mistwalker, who asks, what, in your words, has been the hardest part of making your vision of the game a reality? Well, it's a little early to answer that question since we're still making it and there's quite a lot more to do. I don't know. I don't have a brilliant answer for what is the hardest part. I mean, there's a lot of hard parts to it. On a technical side, I would say there's a lot of challenges in taking a really robust 3D engine like CryEngine and adapting it so it works in sort of our setting, which is on a scale that's much greater than you normally have in a first-person engine. And also make it work in sort of the various network issues that we need to handle, both in terms of fidelity of the ships and the combat and running around, as well as across a big wide galaxy. So we're still in the process of all that. So that's on the technical side the sort of the biggest challenges. And then I think the other hard part on a creative side is really just sort of infusing my feeling or idea or vision of the game across a pretty large team, because to make something that is ambitious as Star Citizen, it needs quite a few people. And since we've been lucky enough to be back to a level that I didn't actually think early on, we're actually able to do a lot more of what I want to do ultimately in the game, or ultimately over many years up front, which means a bigger team, but then also involves the challenges of building and growing the team, because sometimes a team that works at 20 people and the people that work for a 20-person team aren't not necessarily the people that work for a 300-person team. And so that's a challenge in terms of figuring out how all our different groups and studios work together to be the most efficient, so we can be essentially economically efficient with all the money that we've been given, because we definitely want to do that, and to generate the best content and to keep the level of content really high, right? The level of functionality and content, like, the goal on the game is to not be second best to anything, which obviously is a pretty tall order to do, but I think we've got a pretty awesome team, and I'm really happy with what we've been doing so far. But you can never sort of let that slip. You got to keep on it all the time. You can never be complacent. You always got to push it. So those are all challenges. I think I'll be able to answer this question better once the game's done. Although it'll never properly be done, but let's just say start Citizen 1.0 when all the base functionality and content is in there, and I'll be able to answer it better, but those are the current ongoing challenges. All right, next question comes from Wall Eminus. Wall Eminus, there you go. Will pirates have a job board similar to how bounty hunters will? This way pirates can target the top bounty hunter taking out our brethren. Well, I definitely think there's going to be all varieties of sort of job boards, so to speak, and the job boards would be able to be generated or sponsored by various organizations. Some of those are sort of game-run organizations, some of them would be player-run organizations, but it would all use the same basic system. We'll probably have some brokerage service that can rate you. I was making a joke. Some of the backers out there will know Uber because it's kind of getting pretty ubiquitous around the world, and in some ways our job service board would be almost like UberX, where you can put yourself up there and go through the job, and you can get rated on how well you did, and people that you can rate the other people that hire you, and so there would basically be a version of that would be applicable for the pirates, or I don't know what you want to call it, a sort of non-conformist job board. And then you would have more the official, the Merchants Guild, the Mercenaries Guild, and then ones that were done by players, and they would probably all feed up into a general interface that you would have on your mobiGlas, and maybe you would have access privileges for them. So to get access to the pirate board, you would have to be indoctrinated or get the password for it, and the same for the Merchant Guild or the Mercenaries Guild, and then it would appear on your sort of mobiGlas software using the same kind of interface. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Buzzkiller, I hope he's not a buzzkiller, but we'll find out when we read the question. You've stated that large ships like the Bengal carrier will be extremely rare in the persistent universe. Will organizations that are pursuing these ships be able to use a simulator such as Arena Commander to train up a crew on how to fly these ships before they actually attempt to capture one? I don't actually know about that. We're definitely going to have Arena Commander simulation that will happen on, like, say, an Idris Corvette. I'm not sure that we're going to have something like that happening on a Bengal carrier, but definitely on sort of some of the smaller cap ships there will be the ability to be able to do that. I think we'll probably just want you to figure it out if you manage to capture one in the persistent universe. So I hope that didn't kill your buzz, but anyway, we'll see. Dustro asks, with 90% of the universe's inhabitants being AI, will what we do affect some of them to follow our lead? For example, if a subsection of the community tried to set up a blockade, will a subset of the NPCs join in and help while others oppose? Well, definitely the actions of players in the world and the economy will affect AI, because essentially the AI are they have, I've given the example of, a factory needs 10 tons of ore. So it basically creates a mission and says, I need someone to deliver 10 tons of ore. Someone takes the mission, whether it's an AI or a player, to deliver 10 tons of ore. They get attacked by pirates. The shipment doesn't get through the factory. The factory doesn't have raw materials now. It can't be making the goods that it needs to make. So it puts another mission out for another 10 tons of ore, but this time it also hires some mercenaries to escort the merchant ship bringing the 10 tons of ore because pirates have attacked it. So now all of a sudden it's hired either other NPCs or other players to be part of the mission the second time around to make sure that the shipment of ore comes through. And so all the AI sort of have cause and reaction stuff that happens. That is cause and reaction to something that a player does or something that an AI does. And so players' actions will have a cause and effect inside the economy, which will essentially have either AI or other players sort of react to those actions. And so I would say that if you're doing a blockade, then for instance the economic nodes on the planet that need the stuff would probably be hiring AI or other players to help break the blockade, and the players performing the blockade could hire other AI or players to help them keep the blockade. So there you go. All right, next question comes from Score. So SCAW, SCAW, maybe SCAW? I don't know, anyway, however we say it. Are the FPS battle and space battles going to be instanced separately? If the question is if I'm aboard a space battle and some Marines board onto a ship and we engage in FPS while a space battle is going on outside, are they going to be instanced separately? And I think that's what the question is, and the answer is no. So inside one instance, which would include spaceships flying around or any FPS elements happening inside it, whether you're EVAing or whether you're boarding a ship, that will all be in the same instance. Now, we've probably got some network optimizations that we can have in terms of players aboard ships versus ships in the system, and we're still going to be working that out as we bring the FPS module out and as we upgrade the Arena Commander module to 2.0 multi-crew ships, and then on to 3.0, which will involve the boarding stuff. But they generally are planned to be in the same instance. Okay, next question comes from Positronic Reflex, who asks, regarding FPS, how customizable will your helmet be? For example, will you be able to purchase different helmets for certain roles, or possibly purchase chips and components as upgrades for your helmet to give you tactical advantages towards combat performance? Yes, your helmet will be customizable. In fact, it's less so much the helmet. The helmet really, in a lot of ways, will be a display element, but essentially the equipment you have, like say if you have a personal tactical computer or you have a smart weapon, they will all plug in and then drive displays that will show up on your visor. So the equipment you're carrying sort of dictates what you'll be seeing on your HUD. Much the same way as the equipment plugged into your spaceship will dictate what you see in your pilot's visor and what you see on your MFD displays and all the rest of the stuff. So kind of the model we're driving towards is you plug different systems in, either you're wearing it as in your armor or whatever, or your smart weapons or in your ship, and then that sort of drives what displays you see. So currently in Arena Commander, for instance, everyone's got the same HUD. Not sure if it's for 1.0. We're working towards it. Hopefully we get some of this in for 1.0. If not, it'll be fairly soon afterwards. That's going to change going forward, whereas the Aurora is going to have a sort of a more basic, simple HUD and targeting system than a more sophisticated like combat ship. So like a Hornet, for instance, would be able to track, say, 4 targets at once, whereas Aurora can only track 1 target at once, and that and you'll be able to buy different targeting computers, upgrade your sort of ship's computers, your scanning package and the radar packages, and all these things will determine kind of what your sort of HUD and avionics package can do. So the same would apply also even for flying around an IFCS. If you want to be able to do all these special custom stuff and have a lot more controllability, you need an upgraded flight computer for that. So right now you basically have everything. We're going to add some more functionality to this stuff, but longer term, that functionality will be tied to sort of the equipment you have. And so it'll sort of be up to you as sort of player preference and how you're going to set up your ship. And then also, is it worth it for you to spend power and energy on this kind of thing, or you want it being more used for the weapons or whatever? So that's kind of a longer term goal, and that will apply both for first person as well as on board ships. So very customizable would be the answer. Okay, so Dihydra asks, I don't know if he's a Captain America fan or not, but Dihydra asks, do you plan on offering achievements the same way Steam does with its achievements? Not really keen on base achievements that are sort of abstract. So, what we're going for is sort of in-fiction achievements. So if you visit there'll always be like a memento for certain planets. You can, just like when you go and fly to different cities and they've got little snow globes for that city or a little magnet sticker saying, New York or whatever. We'll sort of have similar tchotchkes that you could get from different areas, whether it's collecting fish to go in your tank or I don't know, an Eiffel Tower or something from Earth, or an Empire State Building or whatever. Little model, not the full building, of course. That's kind of how we'll do the achievements. And so I'd like to have it in fiction. So if you become a badass ace in Foundry 42, Squadron 42, done by Foundry 42, of course, then you would have medals and a little medal collection in your hangar. So that's kind of how we want to do it, in fiction achievements. So not really similar to Steam, but more sort of in game. All right, next question comes from Biran, who asks, what, if any, methods have been thought up to counter twitch play in FPS? Example, a human being is not supposed to turn 180 degrees in a tenth of a second and place a precise shot right between the eyes on a foe 200 meters away. Yes, I agree with that, and part of the design of the FPS is to prevent you from doing that. So I'm not necessarily sure that the FPS demo showed off all the detail of this, and in the future we're going to have some more in-depth background stuff. But for instance, you can't just run around and then pull up a gun and fire an accurate shot. So we're modeling kind of your fatigue from running. That's why we had the whole breathing manager stuff. That's why you can't just hip shoot and accurately shoot. You're gonna have to bring it up and basically iron sight to do it, and sort of not be moving fast. So if you're expecting to run fast and be able to shoot accurately, it won't happen. And also the more you shoot, there'll be more recoil. So we're trying to actually model a lot of things that would really be the case. So you're not meant to be able to just zip around and do an accurate shot. You're meant to be able to set yourself, aim and shoot, and be more tactical about stuff. So I think down the road we'll show more stuff that shows this off. I mean, we still obviously want to make everything kind of fun, and so there'll be some middle ground between complete sort of twitchy Call of Duty style play and completely pseudo accurate milsim style of play. But we do want to model in things like fatigue from running, and the faster you move, the less accurate you'll be, and all that kind of stuff. So the systems are built there to do that, and we'll be sort of highlighting more of that stuff going forward. Okay, DK Rises asks, what are the chances of planets being damageable? Will we be able to destroy planets if we have a large enough ship weapon? I would say that for any time in the near future, there will be pretty much zero chance of a planet being damageable by anyone with any kind of weapon. So we're not planning on having the Death Star, planet destroyer energy beam weapon going on. So for now, I would say that chances of planets being damageable are pretty much zero, unless we create some sort of in-game event, like a meteor hits a planet and cracks it in two. But that'll be sort of more a game master driven event versus a player driven event. All right, last question comes from Creepola. I don't know if he's referring to feature creep, which will be planets getting destroyed, was the previous question, or he just likes to be Creepola. But is there a plan to create a courthouse in cities for lawbreakers to get charged before going to jail, or to receive administrative seals for legal activities? Or he may actually just be referring to the question he asked, because that is an extra feature that we currently aren't planning on. So I don't think we're necessarily going to have a plan for a court room and courthouse in cities to get charged before going to jail. I mean, I think we're kind of thinking that, like, if you get caught, there's a bounty on your head, and you get caught by someone, then you sort of immediately sort of show up in the high security prison, or you manage to bribe your way to get out, or whatever it would be. We sort of cut out sort of the due process, so to speak, of all that. So I don't know. I mean, we are going to have sort of the kind of player-driven tribunal system, but that's not necessarily as much for the lawbreaker stuff. Although, who knows? Partly that could be involved there, but it's kind of pretty too early to say one way or the other way as far as that goes. So on this stand, I would say, I probably wouldn't say that is a V1.0 feature, but it, potentially longer term, if we're talking about player-driven content, it would be interesting to have players involved in some level of the administration aspects of the game and running the different cities and towns, but we're not there yet. Okay, there you go. That's the 10 questions for today. Sorry that this show's a little late, mostly because of coming back from PAX Australia this weekend. And again, I want to thank everyone. We had a great time over in Australia. Everyone was incredibly welcoming and friendly, and it was great to see so many, mostly Australians, but there were actually quite a few people that came from outside of Australia for the event, which was really cool too. It was a good time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first-person shooter reveal. We're going to be showing more stuff of that going down the road here, and I think everyone, as far as I can tell, really likes the 9.2 patch. We certainly do here, and we're working hard on the 1.0 patch, which will have a whole bunch of new stuff in terms of the ship systems, signature systems, missiles, the nuance between ballistic weapons and also energy weapons vis-a-vis shields and armor, which isn't properly modeled yet, but the idea is ballistic weapons aren't really impeded too much by shields. They will reduce some of the kinetic energy, but ballistic weapons generally should be able to pass through shields, just reduce damage, whereas energy weapons are absorbed by shields and vice versa. Armor doesn't do very well against energy weapons, but does do pretty well against ballistic weapons. So armor will be in as a feature properly in 1.0. Like I said, the difference between ballistic and energy weapons, the signature system with the missiles, and so a whole bunch of the nuances of all the systems should be then with some new weapons to play around with, which we're working on, and some new ships to fly, and a lobby system. So I think it's going to be a pretty great update for the end of the year for everyone, and we're working hard on that, as well as other things. So planet side, persistent universe stuff is all going, and we're having a great time. So thank you all. I'm personally having a wonderful time, and I will catch you next week. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching 10 for the Chairman. If you guys would like to see more episodes, go here. If you guys would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel and always keep up to date with all our video content, go here. And if you guys would like to watch episodes of Around the Verse, go here please. And I will see you in the verse.